Hi there, Tammy Mulcahy here. I am usually wearing my musician hat, but today I'm wearing the hat of the environment, and in particular, plastics in the environment. And I'm excited to welcome Lori Cloutier, who is a co-leader of the Plastics Solutions Task Force of SRAG. And SRAG stands for Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. Now, Lori, can you start with where do you live and what got you into plastics and what was your first project?
Okay, great. Well, I am from Paulsbo, which is a small town across the Puget Sound from Seattle. So we're up in the Pacific Northwest. And I got involved because I'm a member of the Paulsbo Rotary Club. And we had a speaker who was talking to us about how our local recycling and garbage is handled. He was from the Division of Solid Waste. And I was fascinated because I'd always just envisioned stuff going away. Well, it doesn't go away. It all goes someplace. And that talk stayed in my mind. And I called and said, I'd like to have a cup of coffee and see if perhaps Rotary can help reduce some of the landfill. As we got talking, we realized they do twice a year project to collect styrofoam. And we thought, well, maybe we can use the power of our personal networks in Rotary to spread the word about a great event. So that's what we did. We got started with styrofoam.
Because styrofoam is not recyclable. Is that correct?
Interesting. It is really easy to recycle once you get it there. So the reason it's so hard to get it to a recycling facility is it fills up recycle trucks because it's so big and it will not compress. And also you notice people will try to cram styrofoam into their garbage cans and little bits and pieces fly out about the size of bird seeds and get eaten by birds and litter the streets. So most haulers will not take styrofoam. However, if you want to recycle it, you just need a simple machine called a densifier that uses heat and compression to smash all the air out of the styrofoam. And you can turn a 55-foot truck's worth of styrofoam into one pallet that can then be taken and used to make things like crown molding and picture frames and other items by manufacturers. So yes, it's easy to recycle once you get it to a densifier. So your community has to have a densifier someplace and a way to get it there.
There is the out of sight, out of mind concept that we have of trash. And go to a trash facility, it's mountains of material. And then how do we start breaking that down into little components that we can do at home to where we're not contributing to that landfill?
First start, where does your garbage go? It might go to a MRF or elsewhere. Look at their webpage because they are going to have all kinds of guidelines on what they can take for recycling. And that's going to be different for every MRF and every recycler. And you don't have to remember this stuff. I advise people to print it out and not have that horrible angst conscientious people get when they're trying to decide if they can possibly save this thing.
You did another project where you were collecting large truckfuls, as I remember, of plastic. Can you talk about that project you did?
Well, it started really small. We had learned about a local middle school that was taking part in a contest from Trex. You've probably heard of Trex, Trex decks, and they do two kinds of programs. One is a contest for school-age kids, and they compete to win a bench, and they win by collecting the largest amount of polyethylene film. We're talking the little grocery bags that you see, produce bags for loose produce. What surprises a lot of people is that bubble wrap and pallet wrap and the purely plastic digital e-commerce mailers, those plastic envelopes, those are all made of the same thing. It's called polyethylene, and it can be recycled at many grocery stores. Trex has an entire list of not just grocery stores, but other areas. It's listed by state where you might be able to bring that plastic to then be baled up and shipped out to Trex. So we started off supporting the kids. When their contest ended, we found Trex's second program that any community member can start doing. And it's a community recycling program where if you can get 500 pounds of this stuff, and 500 pounds is a whole lot of that stuff, you turn it into one of their retail partners and you get 500 pounds of it in 6 months, you get a bench that then can be donated to a park or a school or any place in your community that needs a high quality composite bench. So what they're doing at Trex is they are taking all of this polyethylene film and they're taking waste product from wood products like sawdust, mixing it together and coming up with this material that can be turned into decks, and it locks that plastic up and it keeps it out of the landfill. When word got out that we were doing this, somehow or another, we ended up starting to collect from big companies. And today we have collected over 37,000 pounds of this stuff and kept it out of landfill. We've also earned ourselves several benches.
You took out 37,000 pounds of single-use plastic. I mean, that's inspiring. So let's go back. You said it was bubble wrap. It's the films on your paper towels and your toilet paper. The stuff that like people, when they're moving, is that recyclable?
Yeah, that's called pallet wrap. And that is totally recyclable. And to clarify, it can't go into your recycling bin.
So I have a recycling container in my garage that is just for that kind of plastic. First of all, just because I have a number on them doesn't really mean they're recyclable.
Oh, no.
And if you don't have a number on them, does it mean that they're not recyclable?
That's the difference between single source separated recyclables and single stream recyclables. Our country, in the United States, we decided, let's make it easy for people to recycle. Let's have them put everything in just one single stream of recycling, and we'll all sort it out later. That has proven to increase our recycling rates as individuals and make it very challenging to recycle products that are problematic, like plastics. So your job is to know what can go into my regular recycling bin and then further explore, okay, well, what could I take to the grocery stores? What other single source collections are out there that I could do? There's one called Take 5. Taking in like Whole Foods and some other grocery stores have Take 5 programs where they take polypropylene, that's the number 5, and they make toothbrushes out of that and other things. So there are those programs out there, and they vary from location to location.
I want to wrap up by just helping people to walk away from this first conversation with thinking about what groups are you involved with that you can start taking little ideas to.
Anybody who cares about plastic can make sure that they're not doing any harm